We have a country called Nigeria. We have no other country except this one. And we want it to be like every other country where we have responsible, committed leadership that is trying to do the right thing for the country. That's all. It's a very simple thing. It is not something that is too sophisticated. We just want to do the right things. We don't have a country where the leaders are focused doing the right thing. The citizens are participating. That's all.
So the people that have these expectations on you, they should be rest assured that you will deliver, right?
Well, what else can we do? I've done it in the States, and I believe that we need it now. You said things have never been this bad.
Mm-hmm.
You can't have over 100 million people living in poverty,
Yeah.
millions of young people in their productive age doing nothing, and you do something else. We must get those young people to be productive. It's a win-win for the country. You have a huge country of 200 million people where their productive capacity, what they're producing, is not up to 30% of what is expected of them.
So, sir, since you are all for the challenge today, I'm going to ask you a series of questions
Yes.
in different categories. The first category would be what I call questions from the lazy young Nigerians, lazy youth, like Buhari called us. You know, he called us lazy young Nigerians. And then, of course, I'll ask you some questions from people who feel unheard, the unheard, people whose voices are not heard. And then I will ask you the last question from who I would like to call the enemies of progress, or however you want to call them, people that may not vote for you, you know, but you will still be their president if you win this election. And so the first question from the people that I refer to as lazy young Nigerians. Do you know right now we have more than 109 million internet users in Nigeria? Young people in Nigeria are very tech savvy, which is why you will see in the news that some young people are into Yahoo and so on. While that's wrong, it also tells you what Nigerian youth are capable of if given the right opportunity. If that is channel
completely the
to the
same
right.
talent.
Yes, exactly. And so my first question would be, how do you plan on channeling this tech savvy, these skills that young Nigerians have into creating jobs?
Well, let me first tell you, they are not lazy people.
Of course.
Nigeria have one of the best, hardworking, and talented youths.
That was a satire making
That
fun of Buhari.
if you direct them very well, the same talent, the same energy you think they use in doing wrong thing can be turned into doing the right thing. It happened everywhere. In India, give an example, when I lived in the UK, Indians was being seen as people who were smart, were doing the wrong thing. It was the same people that are today dominating the ICT world. Same talent, same energy. And that can happen with Nigeria. And that's why I said what we have need is a competent leadership that understands how to channel this energy and hard work into production.
Okay.
And that is the future of the country.
Okay. So how
countries are not measured by the amount of natural resources they have, but the productive capacity of our citizens, especially the young ones. And we have them in abundance. And these are the people you want to take the country and give it back to them so they can do the right things. It's a win-win for everybody.
So how do you plan on using that to create jobs? knowing that Nigerian young people are really into tech. By the way, when I said lazy Nigerians, I'm making fun of what Buhari said.
What is when it says it is critical. Today, all over the world, the biggest machine for job creation is micro, small, medium enterprises. And this is where the young people are. Startups all over the world. They're the people you need. If you go to every part of the developing world, especially whether it's in Brazil, whether you go to the Asian countries, I want to show you countries that have huge population. This is the engine. China, the mighty China, today, with a population of about 1.4 billion people living in China, 60% of your population, about 60% is supposed to be working class. So for China, it's about 800 million. Out of this, 60% of the job are within the micro, small, medium enterprises. 60%. In fact, in urban areas, it's about 80%. So imagine 60% of 800 million is about 5/4, 6/4.
So sad, but I know we don't have much time. I'm just wondering, a lot of these young people have been campaigning for you on social media, on ground, they are leading marches and so on. But to be honest with you, one of the biggest problems that young people are facing in Nigeria is unemployment.
That's
And
what I
so my
said.
question is, can we expect, jobs? We're not talking about like government jobs
No,
or like
no,
jobs in the tech world.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm telling you, that if China have 800 million and 60% are within the bracket of the micro, small, medium enterprises, which is 540 million. These businesses I mentioned, or enterprises I mentioned, are mainly businesses controlled by young Chinese people.
So
The same thing is in Indonesia. These are huge countries. 90% of the jobs are within this small, micro, small, medium
are you
enterprises.
saying
So
young
the
people
youth.
can
So what
expect
you're going
that?
to do is to channel resources and training into this youth.
Okay.
For example, if you look at what Tony Elumelu Foundation is doing, he's training some youths and giving them grant to start business. And he's been able to show that for every 5,000, for every youth that he gave $5,000, after a year, they're employing about 20 persons.
Okay.
So imagine what it would have been if, for example, Nigeria as a country with a debt of several $billions now has decided to spend maybe $25 billion on these youths. They would have been able to create 5 million of them. And if 5 million of them, let's say about 80%, which is 4 million, was able to create just half of what Tony Elumelu Foundation said they would do.
Okay.
10 jobs. That's 40 million.
See,
Who have unemployment today?
I understand all these examples you have
Yes.
given, like from different countries, but now I'm talking in terms of Nigerian young people, many of whom are watching you right now.
Okay.
So, are you saying that this is your plan for them? I don't know. Could you just look at the camera
No,
in
my
30
plan
seconds?
for them is
Yes.
first we will focus, because that's the only people. We will focus on youth development, training, and access to fund.
So, in terms of tech, though, can they
Something.
expect for you to?
It's the future.
It is. We all agree.
So
on
we were
that,
going to support them.
to get into tech and stuff. So this is a promise that young
Not just
people
tech,
can.
get into all sorts of tech,
Mhm.
other businesses. It's not just tech,
Okay.
other businesses. We must explore the entrepreneurial spirit of this youth.
Definitely, we must, and that's why
And
we.
to do it is simple. Train and support them, access to funding.
So a follow-up question on that would be the fact that electricity is nothing to write home about right now, and that was why I started off asking about the question of tech. We can really do much without electricity, and I know you went to Egypt to do an understudy of the electricity sector. At the same time, though, we know that Egypt didn't just get where they are today. It took them some years to get to where they are. Do you have a timeline at all, having been to Egypt and having seen what they're doing, in terms of when Nigerians can expect some kind of relief when it comes to electricity? That's the first question about that.
Well, I've said it. For me, power is something we will do everything possible to change the situation. It is totally unacceptable that a country like Nigeria, with 200 million people, can depend on 4,000
Megawatt.
megawatts of power being generated, transmitted, and distributed. That can easily, within the shortest possible time,
How much time are we talking about? Because I know you must have
in
had.
Egypt,
You must have a plan.
in 5 years.
Okay, so in the next
In 5 years, Egypt was able to move from 20,000 to over 50,000. Vietnam did the same thing, from 36,000 to 70 something thousand. That shows it's possible. So for me, I said it and I tweeted it yesterday, we must be able to achieve 200% of that. So we must be able to move from 4,000, 5,000 as the case may be. I know it's 4,000 they talk about, but I even use 5,000. We must be able, within the shortest possible time, move from 4,000 or 5,000 to about between 12 and 15,000.
Okay, so sir,
It could be more,
uh-huh,
but this is the least
that
we
you
can do within the shortest possible time. And we're going to do it by any means possible, as long as it must happen. Because you can't talk about issues of supporting micro,
that
small businesses without power. You can't talk about increasing your manufacturing without power. So this has to go on simultaneously as you're trying to train, support the youth. You're also simultaneously doing this.
So sir, because when we agreed to do this interview, they had told me 2 hours, but now because of time constraint, they're trying to make it, reduce it down to like half hour. So I just want to beg of you that, going forward, because you are making references to like some other countries and some things that we all already know and we
Okay.
all already agree
Yeah.
on. So just so that we can get in as many people, don't take this the
No
wrong
problem.
way, please.
No,
But I want to be able to get in as many people as possible. If you can now repeat those things, and I'll tell you when we get there. Don't take
no
offense.
problem.
It's
No,
just
it's not a,
right now we
but it's
have.
always better to show an
trust
example
me,
where it worked.
they've watched your interviews a lot.
Okay, that's fine.
Right now we have more than 6,000 people watching. Thank you
Thank
to
you very
everybody
much.
because
Yeah.
it's in the middle of the night right now in Nigeria. Thank you for
Okay.
watching. And if you're watching and you have not subscribed, you know, if Mr. Peter Obi is watching you on Plasma TV, press the subscribe button while you are watching
Okay.
and like this so that other people can watch. But that question, sir, was I believe that after you went to Egypt and you were inspired by everything you saw, I believe when you got home, you must have scribbled a plan at least
I have a
based
plan.
on what you've
That's why I
seen.
said I tweeted it
So,
yesterday.
in terms of timeline, when can Nigeria start feeling some kind of the impact of you going to Egypt and so on? When can Nigeria start expecting some kind of relief?
It took Egypt
5 years, you said.
5 years.
So, are you saying that if you become president
within that timeline,
that time frame,
I tweeted it yesterday. We
So-
should be able to do 200 times
200 times of what Egypt did?
What
We
we have-
don't
no, what
have
we have
the
here. what we have today.
in
I said
Nigeria. We don't
should
have
be-
the structure that
No,
Egypt
no.
has, though.
No, I said we will be able, within the same timeline, to increase our power generation, distribution by 200%.
By 200%. Okay, so Mr. Peter Obi is saying that if he becomes the president of Nigeria in 2023, 5 years after in 2028, we should have 200 times more than the power that we have
what
right
we are
now.
generating now, transmitting and distributing now, must be 200 times more.
Okay, so that's a promise that we can hopefully hold you up to if
My
you
sister,
become president.
it will be
Easy
catastrophic if I don't deliver that.
if you don't deliver. So that is a promise that you're banking
People,
on.
yes.
And the last question that I want to ask from the people that the so-called lazy young Nigerians, lazy youth. We are not lazy, by the way. We feel offended that a president will say that
In the
about
same
us.
timeline, the same lazy youths, people will see their impact.
Our impact, right? So the last question I want to ask from young Nigerians is the fact that growing up in Nigeria, you enjoyed great education. Things were so much better in your time, and your children, they studied abroad, and so you, of all people, you know the importance of great education, and especially in a great environment and so on. Right now, there are thousands of young Nigerians, hundreds of thousands, that are forced to stay home since February of this year. Some of them have lost more than a whole academic year. And we've had so many unfortunate incidences that happen to students because they are not in school where they should be. Some should have graduated by now, but they have not. And just so you know, a lot of them are watching you right now. And a lot of them are campaigning for you on social media, on ground, going to matches for you, saying they believe in Peter Obi, they believe in Peter Obi. Do you mind just talking to the young Nigerians who have been forced to be home? What would your government do differently than the governments that we've had when it comes to education in Nigeria?
When I was governor, there was also strike. That lasted for a while. The difference is that I was talking with ASU people, I was talking with their leadership, because in our university, every day, we were meeting in different places until it was resolved. And resolving that made it possible that today, Anambra State University is one of the universities that are not on strike. And I can tell you, this strike has shown that it is time to look into the overall funding of our universities.
Okay.
And come in with combinations that have been available everywhere in the world, which is government funding,
Okay.
loans, student loans, university being allowed to do some consulting to earn money.
Okay.
There must be combinations, and it is time that the federal government gives some level of autonomy to the universities. So we're going to do everything possible, but overall, we're going to do more in terms of education. As you know, Nigeria have a very low human capital. The more educated your country is, the better your development.
Okay.
And you can't talk about being classified as a developing country that is doing well without human capital. It's the foundation. You can't even build physical capital without human capital. So we're going to do a lot. Today we're very low, especially in the tertiary level, where the average tertiary intake globally is 38%, we're 9%. So we're going to do everything aggressive. I will not allow them to be out of school for 6 months.
So, sir,
It will not happen.
I love your responses, but they're watching you. Could you be more you keep saying we are going to do a lot.
I said, I'm not there, so I cannot. I'm just saying,
but
if I was president,
I'm sure you have
I said, if I was president, there's no way schools will be closed this long.
Okay. So, but I'm pretty sure that you've thought about this young people.
I feel sad. I've made comments about it.
Yes,
but I don't want to.
And beyond talking, I'm pretty sure you've thought about them and you have a plan for them.
The plan I have for them is that if I was there, schools will not be closed for this long. But I'm not going to.
Long or schools will not be closed at all.
It will not be closed at all because there's no reason. Okay. But assuming it happens, we will sit down and make sure soonest
they're in class. But beyond that, though, what
and
about
I will make sure, I will insist. We want people to go into school and graduate when they're supposed to graduate, leave when they're supposed to leave.
Okay, so your
schools must come back. Things must work the way it's working in every other country.
So you're giving a promise that if you were to be Nigerian president, Nigerian students can be rest assured that once they get in, they will
rest assured. Remember what I said. We'll look into the overall funding and make it more effective.
Okay. So, and what about the studying environment as well? A lot of our schools are dilapidated and
it's all inclusive. That's why I said we will fund it aggressively within our resources and then allow some level of different funding. Because quite frankly, today we must move away from our funding method.
So the funding method that we have right now is part of.
No, it's not part of it.
Okay.
If we have student funding, if we have students loan and everything, the universities will be able to generate more money, run on their own, even increase their capacity. Government is over-involving in the management of education in Nigeria.
And while we're talking about strike, it's not just the lecturers that go on strike every now and then. Doctors sometimes, and it's so sad because today a lot of Nigerian doctors are leaving the country. In fact, they're living in drones, and nurses as well. So I'm wondering, there's a huge brain drain when we're talking about Nigeria. A lot of Nigerians you're here in America. You've seen a lot of Nigerian doctors, nurses, and so on. The same thing in the UK.
I spoke to people in Canada yesterday. I'll tell you what I told them.
Okay.
No, go on.
So, but my question is, because I do know that when you were governor of Anambra State, doctors were also on strike in your state.
For a long time.
For almost a year.
For a long time.
To be specific, they were on strike for a year. So what happened then that you were not able to get doctors back? Because that affected a lot of people that were sick.
No, it didn't affect a lot of people that were sick. We had issue. The issue we had in Anambra State was that then there was an issue where our hospitals were not functional. It's issues I don't want to discuss. We tried to fund health facility, but it was not working. There was strike in education too. We tried to fund our secondary school and primary school. It wasn't working. So we decided that we have to have alternatives. When I got to Anambra State, there was no single school of nursing that is accredited. No school of midwifery. No school of health technology. All this were not there. The hospitals were in bad condition. The same was in the school. So we're putting money and we're not seeing the result. We even bought ambulances that disappeared. So I said, no, we have to have an alternative. So in schools, we return schools to the churches, the original owners, and say we'll fund it. And of course, we saw the result. We moved from number 26 to number 1. Same thing happened in hospitals. We built 10 school of nursing, midwifery, and health technology, but not through government now. For example, I'm going to tell you because in Iyenu, being owned by Church of Nigeria, they have School of Nursing, School of Midwifery, and School of Health Technology. We funded and resuscitated it, and it was accredited. We went to Onitsha. On water side, being owned by Catholic Church and Boromeo, we had School of Nursing, School of Midwifery. We resuscitated it. They accredited and they're functional now. We went to others. Let's go in just about that. They have School of Nursing, School of Midwifery, School of Health Technology. It's owned by Catholic Church. We resuscitated it and it's working. We went to Our Lady of Lourdes Nihala, School of Nursing, School of Midwifery, School of Health Technology. We resuscitated it and it's functional. We even worked with one of the Church of Nigerian bishops that were very, very committed in health issues, Bishop Ikako, and set up in Amich Hospital, in Build School of Nursing, School of Midwifery, School of Health Technology. These are schools that are there. So in doing this, I had issues with the established bodies because they saw that I was now doing things through the what they call private sector. But for me, the result was important. And that brought some issues and brought some strike. But since it was settled, everything is working. I built the fastest teaching hospital ever. I don't know by now. But while at the time I was governor, when I left, I built the fastest teaching hospital ever in Nigeria. There might be records somewhere, but the Nigerian Medical Council told me this is the fastest. The Anambra State University Teaching Hospital in Awka. It was set up under 2 years. So in doing strikes, people don't study why people. During my governorship, I had strikes with
the doctors,
teachers, NUT, doctors, different groups. But it was trying to change them from being what they used to be to what it should be. You know, when you bring change, you have the enemy, all those who live off the old order.
But the doctors at that time said that they went on strike because they believed that they were the least paid in the country. That was what the Anambra doctors said.
They were. I said I don't want to discuss yesterday.
I'm not discussing. I'm also trying to move forward.
There was a lot of issues. Anybody can claim anything. The teachers said they were very uncareful That's why they went on strike. But today, the doctors are there, the teachers are there.
So,
and Anambra has done better. Go and check. Anambra started implementation of NDG. NDG goes on 3 phases: health, education, and pulling people out of poverty. And we're number 1. By the time I left in 2015. So if the health side was bad, go today, you see hospitals and everything. There were not. There were a lot of issues.
Okay.
The issues are not to be.
Thank you.
Go
Thank
and
you
do
so
further
much for
investigation.
going into that. You see, I didn't interrupt. You gave us a whole background info. But first of all, you didn't let me finish the question before you started, which was great. I'm happy to hear the background info. By the way, thank you for this energy because I know you're very tired.
No problem.
You just came back. Guys, if you appreciate the energy he's giving in this interview, please let him know in the comment section. His people will let him know later. Tell him that you appreciate the fact that despite the long trip, he still has this energy. But my question was, it took a whole year to get the doctors back to work that time in Anambra State. The only reason I'm asking is we want to know if you should become the president. And, a lot of people watching you, some of them are doctors. They want, and some of them are campaigning for you. They love you. But they want to know what your government will be like in your time if doctors are agitating, because I know you gave the reason why you believe that doctors were on strike in Anambra, but the Anambra doctors at the time said something else, that they said that it was because they were the least paid.